paradox question. What are we trying to explain? Why what, then what? Or why what, even though what?
Why?
They still prosperity, even though that there was an increase in wool, or not wool, but
Yeah, it's a very yeah, it's exactly right. The very last sentence is, why did they not have an increase in prosperity even though the family generated more income from selling their wool? They made more money. What were we debating?
C.
I heard A and I heard C.
Sorry, D.
Oh, that's okay to be debating C.
Oh, C was the right one.
Yeah, that's right. So you should be debating that one. A, at the end of the 1800s, prices in general in Australia rose more rapidly than did the wholesale price of wool sold domestically. Do you guys know why this is wrong?
At the end of the 1800s?
Okay, so that's part of the problem. This was from 1840 to 1860, right? What's another problem?
Because
Yeah,
the wool was sold domestically and internationally.
I think really it's a combination of these two things, but it's the end of the 1800s. I think also it says prices in general in Australia rose more rapidly, but it says adjusted for inflation at the very beginning. So it's like, hey, even if prices went up, inflation, then we've adjusted for it and their income still went up. Now, maybe the inflation, their income went up, so that means it went up faster than inflation. Okay, so that's why A is out. D, competition in wool sales increased during the period in question, leaving Australian wool producers in a less favorable position than previously. Okay, so they're in a less favorable position, but what's still true?
They're making money.
They made more money. So why aren't they happier? Or living a better life? Do you guys see why C works? It actually says overall they didn't make more money because they lost money on other things that they were selling. Well, they didn't lose money, they just didn't make as much as they had before. The key word in C is it says international and domestic prices for these things, other products produced by all Australian sheep farmers. That means this family produced them as well.
So we have to assume that produce means sold, though, right?
Yeah, we do have to make that assumption. It says which one, if true, would most help to resolve the paradox?
Yeah. I didn't notice the end of the 1800s part of A, and that assumption was why I chose A.
How about the inflation part? Because I think that's
Yeah, I
another
forgot
big
about
issue.
that too.
Yeah. That's what they love to do. They put this stuff at the very beginning,
Yeah.
right? It's such a long passage you forget by the time you get done.
I hate it. I feel like the wrong answer is A.
Huh?
Like when the right answer is A, it's so misleading. To me, at least.
Oh, because
When you
it's.
feel like, okay, this has to be it.
This is it, and you're like, oh, dang, I gotta-
still question it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like this can't be true.
I'm sorry for the psychological battles you have to go through in this test. I'm referring to everyone, all of us. Yeah, Mike. Sorry, Rich.
So in C, it says certain other products produced by the sheep farmers.
Mm-hmm.
Is that referring to just things other than, or are they all like wool products?
Well, it said wool sales, and then these are products. Yeah, so that's products that are produced from wool. Yeah.
yeah, it's produced by sheep, right? Different types, different
And what
parts.
is like
Yeah, this is like you have wool sales, right? You can just here's some wool, and then you have
But you
products that
use the
you
sheep for
make.
Oh, so
You
okay,
use
so
the
it's
sheep for
different.
other things to sell other
I
goods.
mean, they could have eaten the vine and then not lost money.
Yeah, like I don't know if these things are made from wool or not.
So the family generated more
But-
income from selling wool, but like less income
From this stuff.
from like the
So
wool-based products.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it's like they were
It's different,
selling
so
like
it's
if these are
different.
wool-based products. I mean, I'm assuming they are.
Okay.
But like before they maybe made $1,000 from one, $1,000 from the other. Now they made $1,500 from one, yay! But now only made $200 from this side. The sum of those two things is actually lower than the 2,000.
What is in this context? What is prosperity? Is that like relative wealth, or is that just like?
I think prosperity is just general. Yeah, it's just like relative wealth.
Like if you're prosperous, like is that like compared to your neighbor? Like is that? Yeah.
I think they're just comparing it to their previous selves.
Okay, because that's why I chose D, because I like the idea of the competition.
Yeah,
It's
but
like I'm not as prosperous because like.
Well, they're in a less
so-
favorable position, so you're not positioned to make more money in the future,
Right.
but you still got more money last year or whatever, right? You still have more cash. So why hasn't your standard of living increased?
Yeah, I was just comparing. Yeah, I kind of compare it differently.
Mm-hmm. You were thinking you were making prosperity broader.
Like you versus your neighbor rather than like you versus your former self.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, kinda, so,
Yeah. Everyone makes more money. Hey, we had a whole reading comp about this, right?
right, yeah.
Wasn't there one about that?
Yes.
Yeah, happiness. Yeah. All right.